So the next step is that we've got to mind our bias. Mind our bias. When I'm talking bias, this is an example. What do people see in this picture? You see the duck? Everyone see the duck? Little soft-beaked duck. Everyone see the rabbit? His head's cocked back. If you're struggling, ask for help beside you. What's interesting is this picture is in my book, which means I've seen it probably 10,000 times. But I see the rabbit a little clearer. It's not right or wrong. You know, it's what I see first. And that'd be an example of a bias, meaning that, yeah, I get that I've got to, as a professional, as a leader, as an associate, as a manager, as an owner, I've got to manage change and stability. I know that. But I bet you see one side a bit clearer than the other. I bet one makes a little bit more sense to you. And that's not a bad thing. That's called being human. What we want to do, though, is mind our bias, because if we aren't aware of the bias, our bias can start to work against us. You know, our bias can either be a great asset to our teams, to our store, to the organization, or it can be something that causes division, polarization, negativity. I'll give you an example of this. Did anyone, when I said pick your crux tension, did anyone choose truth and tact? A couple hands. So interestingly enough, regardless of whether you chose truth and tact or not, this is a tension that you manage every day. Because as a communicator, you've got to be truthful and clear and candid, and you've got to do it in a way that's relational and empathetic and tactful. And that's true of meetings, it's true of conversations with customers, it's true of emails I send. That said, almost everybody here will lean towards one side over the other. Doesn't mean that you like one side and hate the other. It just means, yeah, that's my bias. That's my point of view. There's some people in the room that would have a bias towards truth and candor. Clear, getting to the point. That would be me, for example. I value tact and diplomacy, but what I see first and clearest is why you got to be clear and get to the point and be efficient. So what that means, because of that bias, if I was scrolling through Twitter, I would actually pause here. This is a tweet by Brene Brown. She says, "Clear is kind, unclear, unkind." Stop avoiding tough conversations because you think you're being polite and kind. That's not kind. And I'm like, exactly. I like it. I share it with others. Fantastic. But what's also interesting is that my colleague Mikey, who has a bias towards diplomacy and empathy and relationship, he's scrolling through Twitter. He didn't even notice the Brene Brown tweet, but he sure stopped here. This is a tweet by Adam Grant, Workman School of Business prof. He says, "I was just being myself is not an excuse for disrespectful behavior. It actually shows lack of concern for others. Authenticity without empathy is selfish. Authenticity without boundaries is careless. Be true to your values, but show regard for others' values." You know, Mikey's like, exactly. Now we could argue all afternoon, who's right, Tim or Mikey, Brene Brown or Adam Grant? Of course the question is yes. Both of those things are true. Here's though where it gets tricky. So I understand on paper that I need to communicate with my staff, with customers, with clients, with other colleagues in a truthful and tactful way. But my bias is strongly towards truth and candor. So what I've learned to do, and I can tell you, it serves me well in a lot of different ways. As a communicator, as a leader, as a team leader, it has also, though, gotten me into trouble a few times. Most of those times have been emails I've sent. Emails that I thought were fine and clear and to the point, and I've been shocked at the outcome. So what I've learned to do, again, I wrote a book that literally says, mind your bias, be mindful of your bias. I recognize, you know what, out of the 50, 60, 70 emails I send a day, every now and then there's that one. That one where I'm like, ooh, this one could have impact. This one could ruffle feathers. So what I've learned to do is with that one email, I know, you know what, I should get one other person to read this first. But here's the thing. With these tensions, something that factors in is this pesky thing called a confirmation bias. All that means is, in life, once you have a point of view, there's something in us that wants to be affirmed in that point of view. I want to be right. that's why if you lean towards the political left or the political right, you probably read news sources on that side, because it kind of affirms my point of view. So because of that confirmation bias, I'm about to send that email, but because I have a truth candor bias, who do you think I go to on my team to read it? Somebody else with a truth candor bias. Because, we just click. We work so well together. But here's the thing. This person and I both see the duck. I need someone who sees the rabbit. I need someone who sees things from the opposite point of view. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to go to someone else who kind of shares my values and my biases. I'm going to say, hey, give this a read. They're going to go, Tim, so well written, so clear. I send it. The next day it blows up. We're like, can you believe how sensitive those people are? And yet, if I took the time to actually go to someone on the team and say, you know what? If I'm here, when it comes to that tension, they're always there. I go to Mikey and say, hey, Mikey, what do you think of this? And I tell you without fail, he's going to say, Tim, you can't send that. I'm like, but it's so clear. He's like, but here's what you're communicating. And what he's done is he's identified a bit of a blind spot to me. Not that, I was wrong, but my view was incomplete. I showed you the duck and the rabbit. How about this picture? What do you see? See the face? Got 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, a little bit of a profile. What else? I heard it. What else? Got liar. Everyone see the word liar? I'll reposition it for you. You got to be able to read cursive. It's a lost art. Everyone say, help the person beside you if they're struggling. This is a better example of a bias than the duck and the rabbit, because with the duck and the rabbit, you could see the two really quickly. But with the face and with liar, if I didn't reposition it for you, you might have looked at the slide for 5 minutes and not seen it. And that's the reality of our biases. It's not that I'm not trying. It's just like I just see this side so clear. I don't see the other side. And one thing that I would say to you, a minute ago you were chatting with a partner about your crux tension, the one tension that you'd say, for me right now, this is make it or break it. I'd say, think about, with that tension, what side do you naturally lean? If it's change and stability, you a change person, or you a core values and stay with what works person? And that's not a bad thing. Be who you are. Just be a great version of who you are. Which means you need someone in your life, ideally in your store, that's able to say, you know what? It's not that you're wrong, but I see it this way. You need someone that's, I often say, we need cheerleaders in our lives, but at this level of leadership, we also need challengers. Someone's going to say, hey, I'm with you, but I see it differently. And it's not that we need to fight about it. It's just like, okay, now I go from seeing my limited point of view to the big picture.